So we share this studio with the owner of the studio, Clint Davis.
Sponsor.
Yes. Yes, a regular sponsor. Longtime listener and supporter. And we get in this morning and we have this nice game going on. And we don't know if we can move it. It looks pretty serious. So
I don't know if if we tear it down, do we erase hours of
I mean, I played chess when I was little, but it looked a lot different than this.
I don't know what this is. You think it's
I think it's Dungeons and Dragons.
I don't know what it is.
Well, I don't see any dragons or dungeons, but
here's what I like. Okay, let's just
hey, dragon's right there.
Well, there's a dragon.
Yeah.
So look at this. Not only do you have the game board, but you take the time to put the shrubbery out.
Well, of course.
Like, this is not even part of the game, is it? Of course.
Well, where are the snipers going to hide?
I mean, does this guy come to the trees? Like, how does it work? I don't know.
I would imagine you're not bound by rules. You can do whatever you'd like. Okay.
Come on, man. That's no way to live.
But I'm also thinking through my upbringing. I thought this game was evil, demonic. So
that's too. I was never allowed to play, or would have never been allowed to play a game like this.
No,
growing up.
No.
So I'm foreign. I mean, it looks interesting.
Yep.
It's a nice little set piece, I think, for the pod today.
Yeah, I like it.
So let's leave it because we don't want to mess up. We don't mess up anything.
No, we don't want to mess up anything. So
a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So we don't really have like a very solid thing going at this episode, but I did want to. I think we can summon something.
Yes.
Maybe roll some dice.
Yeah.
And get some topics.
Yeah.
So here's what I wanted to ask you. Now we have these podcasts on Facebook.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, man, this is a great podcast with Shay and Hannah. People are liking it. Go ahead and boost it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And which is great.
Okay.
But here's the thing that maybe you don't understand about boosting a podcast.
Okay.
So when you go to boost it, you got to make some decisions.
All right.
And those decisions are, who do you show this to?
Okay.
Like, pick your demographic out. Where do they live?
Yes, I've done that for ads. Facebook ads.
How old are they?
Yeah.
So the busy small listener, who are you going to boost this to? Like, who do you think is?
Well, do they share any analytics?
I guess you could say people that look like your audience, but that's no fun. Like, tell me, what is the busy listener? Who is the busy listener?
So that I would think that they would give us some of that feedback of who is watching this.
Well,
there's no analytics.
I mean, I don't know how to do that.
Who is our listener? Well, obviously our target is Shreveport Bossier area.
Okay. Shreveport Bossier.
We want them to be somewhat local.
Yes.
I would imagine they have some interest in the happenings of our area.
Okay. So their interest would be like what?
Their interests would be, I would think they would want to be entertained a little.
So like,
what would their interest be? I would say
like Kevin Hart.
I would say, obviously I would say they would probably in our stage of life would be our ideal listener. They would be 10 years above or below.
Okay. So you're going to say,
but
30,
I don't know. Are people in their mid 50s listening to a lot of podcasts?
What about 35? You're saying 35 to 55, basically.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know because we have high schoolers that listen.
Well, that's true.
My son even said, I can't wait till Howard Davis comes out and sharing it to my whole class.
And then by the same token, my mother-in-law wants to listen to the Howard Davis episode.
My mom.
So that's a pretty wide.
That's a wide range. My mom wants to become friends with Hannah Bailiff. She listened to the episode and said, I want to be friends with her.
Listen. We're doing important work here today.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think we've got this age group, we got Shreveport Bossier, but what are their interests? What are they interested in?
Look, listen, I'm like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not bound. I'm not bound by the board. Okay.
Listen, the Dungeons and Dragons is a great example of riches and niches, and you're saying, I'm for everybody.
Hey.
I'm for every man. And I'm here to tell you, as your friend, as your brother in Christ, you are not for everybody.
Yeah, well.
You're not.
Okay.
Okay. We need to embrace that.
Okay, thanks.
There's a special group of people that are going to love what you do. And there's people that aren't going to want to come and set the shrubbery up. Yes. Okay.
So we don't get kicked out of this. Go back to demographics. What were you saying?
Well, I want to know what they're interested in.
Yeah.
Because you can find, like you have to target people who also
Yeah. And, I think that we've had a wide range of guests on here. Mm-hmm. We do have some common themes that we bring up a lot, which would be business.
So maybe other people that talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Food, travel.
Maybe something. And I think that that's what's crazy about kind of the podcast explosion over the past 10 years has kind of coincided with this entrepreneurship mentality, right? Is that you think of like it is not it's not crazy now for someone just to quit their job and start their own business,
right?
Which how many people were doing that 20 years ago, or what I'm saying. So I mean, in fact, we were raised. You go to college, you find you a career path. That's what you do. You get you a check. You retire when you're 55, 60. Mm-hmm. If you stick with it long enough.
Yeah. And now you can be a YouTube content creator.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I told that story, but maybe I told it on the last episode. I can't remember. Yeah, but people think that this is what we do full time.
Who thinks that?
Some people said, "Oh, you have a job? I thought you were an influencer." In Benton, Louisiana, an influencer.
Yeah. Well, listen, in your own way. Your own way.
So, but yeah, that. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Well, it's just who are the people? How do we when we push our ads out there? Who do we want to put them in front of? Because I think there's probably a lot of people in Shreveport Bossier that don't want to watch this.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
possibly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Give us a
try. Maybe we are for everybody.
Listen, I want to tell you who I want to get on here. Okay. I want to get the rubber boot guy on here, the crawfish guy.
Oh, there's been some scandal
some scandal out there, but also I've been a long time follower of him because when people say negative things about him on Facebook, his company, he just blasts right back at him. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just funny.
No, I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's not going to take it. The customer's not always right at Rubber Boot. Okay. Let's say it that way.
I love it, man.
Yeah. And I've never had his crawfish. I'd like to have it. I'd like to have some of their crawfish.
So it makes you want to try the crawfish?
Well, what's crazy too is like I've heard that like literally it causes like wrecks and stuff on, I don't even know where it's located, but apparently the line that comes out of it is like causing traffic.
Yeah.
So
let's make an audience campaign to get the Rubber Boot guy on here.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's that Southern Classic effect.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that line that just backs up all the way down Market Street?
Wouldn't you love that guy?
They started to, I think they're starting to try to franchise that out. Mm-hmm. I read their story. It's pretty cool. We need to have somebody over there. It was a family thing, right?
Yeah. Like maybe in Jonesboro or something. I don't know.
Or Manny or some like small town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
It is amazing.
I mean, I tell the story all the time. You go to Mansfield, Louisiana. Okay, listen, your food choices are a little bit more limited. It's a smaller town. Mm-hmm. You've got a Popeyes on one side of the street. Mm-hmm. You got a Southern Classic on the other side of the street. Mm-hmm. Southern Classic is going to be wrapped around the building. Oh, yeah. Chaos going on, and then Popeyes will have 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah.
And if you go out of our little neck of the woods and you talk to people, they see a Popeyes, they're like, oh man, Popeyes is the real deal, baby. Popeyes is the best fried chicken I've ever had. And you're like, Popeyes is good.
Yeah, sure.
The biscuit's phenomenal. I love the biscuit. Mm-hmm. But doesn't hold a candle to Southern Classic. Not even close.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, their chicken sandwich should have been part of the contest. Remember the chicken sandwich, the Popeyes chicken sandwich?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Does Southern Classic have one?
No, they do not.
Oh.
No, they do not. So good stuff there. All right.
Their own.
Yeah. Okay, so we haven't learned much about the audience today.
Audience. Let's see who and what questions would go in that age range. Obviously,
what's age range?
Yeah. Occupation.
We have some interest.
Gender. Race.
Yeah. Well, it's just for, it's wide open. It's wide open. Listen, I got what I need on this. I'm ready to move to the next.
Are you asking if we're popular with the urban
demographic? Could be. We got to do some field research. We'd have to get down to the streets and see what's going on.
Okay.
So when we were talking about topics for today, one of the things hit me right off the bat was running a small business is hard.
Oh yeah.
Like very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think there's so many business books out there that are really border on self-help books? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, for me, what I found is that my business's seasons of growth have correlated with my personal seasons of growth. And I think that really, if you dig into it, if you have a chaotic business, then usually the owner and leadership have chaotic lives. And I feel like that is really, there's a big correlation there. And so I feel like if, maybe I'm just speaking to myself, but if I'm stressed out, if I'm burnt out, if I'm overwhelmed, if I have a scarcity mindset, and if I have this thought that everybody's out to get me, then, or if I let just the smallest little thing throw my day off, well, that's going to permeate throughout my businesses, right? My managers underneath me are going to pick up on that. Well, this is how you're supposed to respond to this. Oh, well, we're the victim. Oh, well, woe is me. And then it permeates throughout the whole company. And so I think that's really is at the top, and that's why it's so hard, and why a lot of people don't understand the stress of being at the top, right? It's because it all falls on you.
Yeah. I can't help but think every year I go through this, and it's the same thing. I get through the year, and I'm like, oh man, I made it another year. This is great. Hopefully we've made a little bit of money, and then just in the back of my mind, it always pops up and some voice tells me, okay, man, you made it. You made it to the easy street. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be chill. It's going to go well. Everything's going to work now because you've put in the work. You've seen all these things happen, and now good stuff is coming your way. Don't worry. Don't stress. Everything's going to be perfect. And that lasts for about half a day.
Oh yeah.
I'm just constantly reminded that there's so many challenges that pop up. You're working on a challenge. While you're working on a challenge, another challenge drops in your lap. And then you're like, well, I haven't even fixed this challenge. But then this challenge pops in. And so you're just got this cascade of challenges.
I like how you're calling them challenges.
Right.
That's very positive.
Well, what would you call them?
A problem.
For sure. For sure.
A distraction.
Yeah.
Some might make it spiritual. The devil's out to get us.
I mean, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that I do think that, I think that this concept that we're ever going to get to a place, and I tell my guys, in fact, I had lunch with a lot of my leaders yesterday. We do this monthly lunch thing. And I just said, the problems are never going to go away, right? In fact, the bigger you get, the more successful you get, those problems just become bigger problems. There's a lot more at stake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I was watching some show, and some guy said, the more successful you get, the sharper the knives. And people are just out to get you, right?
Coming at you.
Yeah.
Not your knife.
No, not your knife.
You got a rock. You don't have a knife anymore.
But yeah, so and that's true. Just problems. Just yesterday. Okay, so we have one of my companies has another company that has moved into town using our exact same name and logo, or similar logo and color scheme, right? Well, that's a problem. So we're having to deal with that. Right. At the same time, we're having a workers' comp audit. At the same time, we're having, a customer that's mad and wants to talk to the owner. Then at the same time, you know what I'm saying? And then you have an employee that is running their mouth that shouldn't be saying the thing they should be saying. Then you have another one saying, hey, we have payroll in a couple of days and we have a cash flow we need to look at.
Yeah.
This is all in just one day.
And none of that you're talking about is the work.
That's right.
None of that's the work.
That's right.
So the work has to go on and has to go on well. While you're trying to keep the work going on well, all these things are just falling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it goes back to the working in and working on your business, right? And so those big concepts, there has to be space to deal with those big things because something's going to get neglected. Either you're going to put off this big problem and just let it continue to grow and grow and grow until you can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
Or you can get after it fast, right? And knock it down or resolve it. Or you're going to say, okay, well, I got to deal with this lawsuit with this company that's coming in and deal with all this at the expense of the business, right? And driving revenue and taking care of customers. So yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, I think I think that's it. So I think the focus can't be on this idea of, well, we got to eliminate problems, right? The focus has to be on how do we approach problems or challenges or things that are less ideal. That's what I call my problems. Things that are less ideal. It's very positive.
Well, I want to peel it back even further.
Okay.
Because I think that I think all those things are true. And I do think mindset is basically your only tool against what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you got.
Sure.
Outside of that, and to sort of recharge spiritually, your mission, like tapping into those things and that and mindset emerging from those things, right? It's not just that I can convince myself that I love getting kicked in the, stomach every day. Yeah. It's that it comes from a wellspring of spiritual depth, truth, and mission that propels me. So I've got that to create my mindset. But what I would pull back even further is to say, but why do you want to even do this? Like, why?
To do what?
To go through all this.
Oh.
To go through all the...
Well, I was asking myself that yesterday. And this morning.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I think that, when you're going, it has to come from a passion and a mission and for me, I think that doing this is what closely is the best utilization of my gifts, which fulfills me. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do it.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that do it out of necessity. Right.
What do you mean necessity?
Well, they've taken over the family business, or they've done this. Now you have 10 people on payroll or the family on payroll, and now you have to keep it going, and it becomes a burden rather than something that's enjoyable. Yeah. And that is not a fun place to be in.
Right.
At all. Right. And so that, for me, just me personally talking, it's the most fulfilling because I've had the 9-to-5 job before.
Yeah. This is exactly where I was going, because I do think I'm not sitting here to say that you or anybody like you are special, but I would say different. And what I'd say different in that in your encoding, there is something about your desire, like you got a desire, and then you want something and you execute on that and you find the way to get the thing, and then you get the dopamine hit that comes from the thing, and then, like all humans, that feeling fades, and then it's what is the next thing. And I have desire like that. I think that innate desire in you is stronger than many people. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that was what my frustration when I had a 9-to-5 job. In fact, in doing that, like after my job would end, I would like start doing other things. Like I was like starting to flip houses or starting to I just couldn't not have that. And now, back then I didn't understand it. Now I'm more self-aware, to know, hey, this is what I shouldn't be involved in. This is what I should be involved in. This is what's going to bring me energy. This is what's going to drain me. And so, some of that is self-awareness on that. But, it's funny is being wired different. And so like even my son, who's 16, but this was a couple months ago. So when he was 15, Carter, he was just asking more about my business and what I do every day. And he just said, he was sitting there thinking, he was like, and he said, you don't expect me to come take over the business, do you? And I was like, no, buddy, you do whatever you feel gifted to do.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of people that felt like they had to go into the family business or do the thing, and they're miserable now.
Oh, for sure. That was me. 100%.
I think it's a fulfillment thing. And that's where and you don't have to be the owner to have that, right? Like, I want my team members to look through the ownership lens as much as I do.
But they can't.
They can to an extent.
Well, they cannot and I was talking to a group of guys who had businesses, and I said, it's very rare that you find somebody that cares as much about the business as the owner. And several of them were like, no, man, I got like 5 people that do. And I would say there's people that care a lot, but if you don't have the total purview, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, have you ever walked out of the business and just said, I'm done, done for the day.
Yeah.
It's over. It's over, baby.
Yeah.
Turn the light off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You cannot.
Sure. You can't. And I think, and obviously the stress and the weightiness will never be there. Right. But I do feel like they can have the same, I do feel there are people that have the same amount of responsibility, and that comes into how they're wired. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people with really high responsibility.
That's right.
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
That's right. That's right.
And that's when I talk about owning the position.
It's just coming to it with full wanting to take care of it.
Well, this mindset of like, it's not, am I going to be everybody would say, I want to win. Mm-hmm. You go ask 10 out of 10 people, do you want to be a winner? They're all going to say yes.
Right.
Right. What's the percentage that refuse to lose?
Oh,
that's the mindset you want. And that's what makes a successful business owner and entrepreneur is they refuse to lose. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what challenges come their way. Mm-hmm. It is not going to throw them off. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was, some conversations I've had recently of some people that might be hesitant to take a risk to grow or to scale. And through my coaching, he made a good example. He said, man, you have to explain to them times where you were pushed to your back against the wall and you pivoted and navigated and came through it. Right. Because I have this refuse to lose situation or mindset. So, I mean, every time it's just like, hey, I'm not going to give up. Like, this isn't going to throw me off. Yeah. I'm going to pivot and I'm going to figure out a way to get through this.
Right.
And I've done it every time. And so anyways, that was a good piece of advice from him, just as far as leadership. If you have somebody that's hesitant or risk averse, to say, hey, I've been through this before and this is what I did to get through it. And so you can have confidence that if this happens again, we're going to get through it together.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the refuse to lose. That's what you want.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But I want to go back and linger on this idea of desire.
Okay.
Because what do you desire? What do you want?
Well, I don't want to lose. So that's big. What do I desire? I think there's an element for me that I want. I want to be successful. I don't want to fail. That's big. I like to see other people succeed, and I tell, look, I would love to pay all of my leaders in my organizations 6 figures. Like, I want to get them there, and I think that there's a runway and I see a picture of them all getting there, mm-hmm. So, I mean, I want to see success. I want to see them being happy and fulfilled,
mm-hmm. But what animates you to show up to the stomach kicking? I mean, have you ever really, really, really thought about it other than you're just how I am?
Well, and it's funny is I usually don't get very emotional mm-hmm. or I don't get, off kilter much. But we had a situation last week where I had some of my organizations applying to be in some of these networking groups locally. Well, somebody in one of the groups has it out for me. and feels threatened. I don't know why. I have never talked to this person, didn't know anything about it. Well, then this person goes and starts calling the other group saying that we're not a licensed company, right? This is for one of my trade companies. We're not a licensed company. Well, that was bogus, not true, right? And where she was getting those facts from, I don't know, but she never called and asked me. But that lit a fire under me.
Did she check with the state? Because I feel like it's pretty easy to pull up, right?
Well, I think she misunderstood on where to be checking what the rules were, right? So she went to one site and didn't see us and was like, oh, well, they're not licensed, which isn't true. We were licensed. But, and that's neither here nor there, but it brought out of me this, like, I'm not, I mean, it's almost like if your kid's getting bullied at school. Right. Like, I'm not going to sit back and just let somebody say something false about me. I want to do something about it. Yeah. And so, angry Leighton came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had to make some calls.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, because, for me, I view like this, like if you're attacking my company, you're attacking my livelihood, my kids' future, my trip to go sit by the pool.
And most importantly, we finally got to what you desire. You desire to sit by the pool,
yes,
and be served by the cabana, by the cabana men, not cabana boys.
Yes,
it's a different day.
I do think that and that's a good point. I mean, I think that to do this, if there wasn't I think that the reason why some of us do get into entrepreneurship, or one of the blessings that comes with it, is this idea that there isn't much of a ceiling, right? You really can go a lot higher and further than you can in a corporate world. And a lot of that's
it's basically what the skill you bring to the problem set that you're working on is your ceiling for your income.
And that's just the way I'm wired. Like if you say, hey, here's how you can grow, and I see that there's an end to it, I'm out. Right. Because to me, there's no end to the growth that we can have. And then freedom. Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, that's the whole reason why this even started, is me thinking, well, we're having kids. I want my wife to be able to stay at home, especially in the early years of the kids. Well, I'm a school teacher making $40,000 a year. And I don't enjoy it, but but that was the mentality, right? Oh yeah. You talk to the seasoned teachers. Oh yeah. I got 5 more years. And, it's just like, that just wasn't, I wasn't going to be able to take the trips to go sit by the pool on a $40,000 salary, right? And so that really was what prompted me to actually take action and do something. Yeah. So there is some freedom. I mean, look, in giving, I mean, like we've been blessed, and so I can give and help and sponsor things, and that's all enjoyable things to me. Yeah. So what about you? Desire,
man, it's I've been kind of stuck on this as I was driving to the studio here today, thinking about this, because desire is a huge part of it. Desire is, we have desires. We move in this world. We are animated to move. We don't just sit at home and do nothing, right? So clearly I have desire. Yeah. And it's okay to say, like, there's things that I want. It's not necessarily money, but I appreciate, the status that comes from having a little bit of money. I mean, I think everybody can say that having some money can solve some money problems. Yeah. I think it's fair to say.
Money stress is
a bad stress. Yeah. It's a bad stress. So there's that, but that's definitely not like the whole of it. I want to continue or be a good steward. Let me say this correctly, because it's hard to say just right. I guess I want to make my grandpa proud. Yeah, sure. And being a good steward of the business is not, in my opinion, not necessarily making him proud. I felt like he was an entrepreneur, and his goal and vision was so big that, he just didn't get to do it. And so I feel like I'm trying to push the boundaries for him in a weird way.
Yeah. So almost like a legacy mindset.
Right? Yeah. But it's not like hey, let's just take care of the museum kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's what you find a lot, especially in third generation ownership.
Or second, really. Second is the caretaker.
Yes, they try to not lose it.
Right.
And the third generation squanders it. That's what they say.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So there's enormous.
That's still another podcast we have got to do.
That's right.
The first, second, and third generation.
Well, there's enormous pressure on that because you hear so many people say, well, third generation really screws it up. So I try to live on one hand like, man, I don't want this to be me. I don't want to screw up. But at the same token to say, you got to kind of play not fast and loose, but you got to live in that entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
You can't play it safe.
Yes. So then that leads to this. How do we get our leaders to have that mindset, right? Because if I think of my managers, they're definitely second generation. They're trying to maintain what I brought in because they want to keep me happy and keep a job, right? But I don't want them to stop taking risks.
Yeah.
Or I don't want them to be fearful when I say, hey, let's do this. And so that's the key, right? And that's a whole nother episode. But how do we instill that first generation mindset into our second and third generations?
Yeah.
And employees. And so, and maybe we don't get into that today, but that is something to think about.
I wonder if it's something like this, because I was watching some YouTube videos on the treadmill this morning. And Warren Buffett said, here's my advice for small business people and my advice for big business people. He said, just constantly think about delighting your customers. Never stop. Just constantly think about delighting your customers. Mm-hmm. So I wonder for your managers, because I don't think your managers necessarily need to have this huge visionary portfolio. Mm-hmm. I don't think you want that.
Yeah.
I think vision is important, but too much vision is chaotic. Mm. I think you need somebody driving vision and then people driving execution. Mm. But if you have your managers just thinking when I install a water heater, how do I delight this customer in a way that my competitor wouldn't even dream of doing? Mm. I think, is that maybe where, for that layer of management, the focus, is that where it should go?
Possibly. And I always call that the unexpected extras.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because every plumbing company does the same thing, offers the same product. So what is that little extra?
Yeah.
So it's all good conversation, but that desire is a good question.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, you have it, because if you didn't have it, you would not put up with what you put up with. Isn't
it part though, just the way we're created, and I think this is like for men, we just tend to ingrained in us is this builder mentality. It's like
I don't know that it's just men.
Okay.
I don't know that it's just men.
Well, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I
don't think that just.
I'm not saying women can't be builders. I just think that it's just kind of a natural thing, right? I mean, even like. And I'm not saying like girls can't play with Legos, but I have a daughter and I have boys. All three of them tend to gravitate toward Legos and build things.
Yeah.
Right. And then my daughter,
Hashtag girl dad.
Not saying she doesn't want to play with Legos, but she definitely gravitates more towards building community and having building, fostering and nurturing type of thing. Right. So, I mean, I know that might be not politically correct to say these days, but just off my experience.
Yeah.
And so,
well, thank you for your honesty.
All right. Do we need to get to our sponsors?
We do. If they're still hanging around.
Well, go back to what you led off with our demographics.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and take women off of there.
You said we were for everybody.
We are for everybody. All right, let me see if I can find our sponsor sheet here. Priority Roofing.
Run by Shea Bailiff.
Yes. Oh, it was so funny, Hannah. I don't know if we said that on there, but she told me the other day, she said, I love that. She's like, I love that your name Leighton and Shay's name is Shay because I can call and act like both of y'all. Talking about we have girl names.
That's right.
That wasn't very nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Priority Roofing. Yeah. Locally owned, family ran business specializing in residential and roofing, and commercial roofing, repairs, replacements. Great company. 318-202-2123. Plumber for hire. Locally owned plumbing company specializing in residential and commercial plumbing. New service provided. Jetting. Okay. Recently acquired a jetter.
It's like hot tubs, or what is that?
No, that is to clean out a drain with high pressure water.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
a lot of commercial, industrial, and not all plumbing companies offer that service. So we do have jetting. 318-709-9090.
Ivy's Building Materials, 3 locations: Houghton, Mansfield, Blanchard. Third generation business. Run by Mitch and Pam Johnson, beautiful husband and wife combo. Okay, because we value women at Ivy's.
Yes. Is she doing the building?
Well, pretty much.
Okay,
pretty much.
She's doing the collections. I know that.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Let's see. Clint Davis Counseling, helping people make lasting internal change for external growth and success. Call and schedule an appointment. They have 3 locations here in Shreveport Bossier, 318-562-6903. Yeah. So,
okay.
Is this going to get us canceled? Why is that so controversial to say that?
Good run. Good run. Listen, look, I do believe there are gender differences. I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
But the spectrums are broad. And so you may find some men that may not want to be the builder.
Correct.
Right. And some women that might want to just go out there and build a skyscraper.
Yes, you did.
Why not?
And I didn't say that wasn't true. Hey, I have been analyzing this, and I think I can checkmate you right here.
Is that
checkmate?
I don't know.
Done. Game's over.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See ya.